Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. In this video today, guys, we are going to be taking another look at ANKR and specifically the price action of what has been going on most recently. As we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will not miss another update. Right, with this said, done out of the way, let's jump into some technical analysis here on ANKR. We're going to start things off with this weekly chart. And we are paired up with USDT. We'll start here because back in March of 2020 was really what started this 5 impulse waves to the upside. Okay, and in Elliott theory, there are 2 corrections. We obviously have wave 2 here and wave 4. Okay, obviously wave 2 was actually quite sharp for ANKR, with wave 4 being flatter. Okay, and again, these are always opposite. If wave 2 had been flat, wave 4 would have been sharp. Now, obviously, we have seen significant gains for ANKR since March of 2020 through to March of 2021. We've seen 34,000% in gains. There's definitely no bank that I'm aware of that will give you that on your savings account. So very, very well performed so far. And obviously, we are trading sideways most recently and has been a bit of a slow burner for the most part. It was slow down here in wave 1. It was slow down here in wave 3. But when it gets going, it gets going, which is one of the main reasons that we actually made a fantastic trade. We got out of Reef when Reef wasn't doing anything and basically got into ANKR just at the right point. And this, we saw significant growth on our investment and have made significantly more money. And ultimately, we are looking at another 623% before the bull run ends. So things on ANKR are just about getting started. So things are looking to heat up for this last little leg here as we finish this bull run before going into the bear market back into an accumulation zone. Fantastic. So the other things we want to acknowledge on this weekly chart is how low things were when we started down here in the oversold area on the stochastic RSI, but also oversold down here in the bottom of wave 2. And of course, wave 4 was also oversold. Likewise, when we go to the top of wave 1 and wave 3, we can see that we were overbought for quite some time on both of those occasions. And basically, that's where we are heading right now. We're overbought on our chart as things are now looking to slowly start their rise up to the parabolic run, peaking at the end of the bull run towards that 77-cent area. So right now, at the point of recording this video, we are 10 cents. So we're talking about another 7x on the current position, something like that. Okay, so a reasonable amount still to come in, but obviously the majority of the gains have already come in. This is a late stage, so hopefully you guys have already invested nice and early, either down here at the bottom of wave 1 or maybe during wave 2's correction, and maybe just when things were getting started down here. There were some opportunities to dollar cost average, and again, right down in this accumulation zone down here was pretty much one of the last opportunities really to really get in before we start to see this next run come in for ANKR, another 600%. So otherwise, yeah, the weekly chart showing up everything that was kind of expected and where things are going as we look to finish this bull run nice and strong here for ANKR. Now, when we jump down into our daily chart, this is where we get a little bit more of the clarity of what's been going on. We can see where the resistances are coming in, currently at the 382 area, just here. This comes in at 11.2 cents. This seems to be an area where we can barely seem to get pushed through, right? And this is an area that we were consolidating down on before as well. And we can see this a few times in the history over here, right? On the way down to the downside into the accumulation zone. This is an area that we've been fighting for quite some time. We see the sideways trade that has been occurring here between our area of the 236 and the 382. Basically, we've been kind of hovering around here trying to work our way up past the resistance. There is also resistance up at 12.3, but we'll get down into the hourly chart and we'll talk more about what's the kind of battles, the immediate battles are. Down on the stochastic, we can see, of course, that we are bouncing around the oversold area. We're kind of going into it and then coming out of it as there's a slow increase here on the position. There's a steady kind of incline, but it is quite small. And it's nothing kind of major to kind of note at this point, but there is a slight incline on our trend. So things are starting to get wedged up. So towards the end of September, I would have thought would have been a pretty key month for ANKR here, for a couple of reasons. One, if we draw our trend line, we can see that if we continue the way that we have been and we use our trend line as a support as we use our 382 area as a resistance line, things are going to get so tight that they'll have that explosion to the upside. So overall, things are looking okay. Obviously, there's still quite a bit of work to do there. Now, obviously, the thing that we're working towards is this area just up here. This comes in at the 618-702-786 area of a Fibonacci retracement. This runs from the high area just here and the low area on the way down. I think we used this one here. Okay, and in doing so, this basically then shows us this key area that we need to get past, the 618, the 702, the 786, and actually it's running from this high and this low. And this is where the main battle will actually take place. This is quite frustrating because we need to see some things that actually get taken through. We need to go and past our 12.3 resistance line. We need to back test, turn it into a support, and so forth. But getting into this area here, like we've seen with so many other projects like Cardano, this is the key area that we want to get above. Getting the closed candle above this area. So we're talking about 18.1. So anything above 18.1 from a closed candle perspective is going to be the bull signal that takes us into price discovery. And once we get past that, guys, we should be then talking about the first price target, which would be 32 cent. Second target is 49 cent. The third target, 66. And then the 4.236 extension comes in at 77 cents at the end of the bull run. That's my expectations on ANKR here. And again, we do have that theoretical dollar as only a few cents higher. So we might end up going for that extension, just pushing for the dollar. I think it's probably the maximum level that we'd see ANKR hitting during this run. So like I said, we are talking about 600 and 23% to 77 cent. And then we are talking about going 838 to the dollar level. Okay, so still significant gains to be made, but obviously a bit of work has to happen first. When we jump down into our hourly view, okay, and we take a look at what's been going on the hours, we can see where we've kind of come up to a bit of a sticking point. There is obviously a downward trend that's been forming here, which actually was broken because it was tighter. It was more in line here. But now actually we're slightly higher there. And again, there is also this upward trend. We can take this into consideration, and we can see that basically things are looking to kind of get intersected around about, so this looks like we should see some form of break by the 7th of September, but timing is usually the hardest thing to gauge. Very, very difficult to kind of get that narrowed in. But one of the things that we can see here is this triangular wedge. If we continue to push to the upper bound, we'll get rejected because we're overbought coming down here. And what we'll look for is that kind of break, that kind of squeezing of the price expectation and then exploding to the upside that way. Now, when we actually take a look at the stochastic, we can see that we are overbought, so we are looking for a short-term pullback. And again, it would be good to actually test some of these lower areas, but I think that's going to be a little bit later. We can see there's some interesting support areas that are forming around the kind of 10.3 cent area, with our main support, the area that we're consolidating down here on. If our upward trend line does hold, then 10 cent flat shouldn't be seen anymore. In fact, we should get the bounce from this area, right? So that's pretty positive. Obviously, the slow and steady rise to the upside. So we are looking for a correction to the downside on the shorter term. So we will be looking to lose the volume behind it. We'll look to lose the momentum, pull out that stochastic to the downside, whilst we kind of just trade sideways down here and look for that break to the upside at a later stage. So I think we are only a few days away from breaking this trend. And again, from there, we'll be probably only a few days really from going after 12.3 cent. And then that's the key area. That's the one that we need to see kind of come back down and test as a support line. I think there's a bit of work to be done here, because if we get this break, we'll probably get rejected. We'll probably trade sideways here, work our way through, back test on that. I think we're definitely a fair few days away from turning the 12.3 cent into a support line. So this is something that might take weeks to a month or so to actually see. And then obviously getting into the 618, the 702, the 786 are going to be the key areas for us. And once we're past all of those, things are going to start heating up very, very fast for ANKR, like they did previously. If we jump back up into our weekly chart, and we just make this a little bit bigger for you guys to see, basically what happens with ANKR here historically is we kind of trade sideways. We get past a key technical area, and then all of a sudden things really heat up very, very quickly. We saw this with wave 1, and we see it also happening here with wave 3. We come out, we take over a key technical area, and then things just ramp up very, very quickly, right? So these sideways tradings, they can be frustrating, but when things get going, they do get going very, very fast. So the fact that we are trading sideways, hovering around the same area here, is just about lining up, taking out some of these key areas gradually and slowly, and then we're going to see this rise to the upside where we go after that 77 cent, potentially pushing for the dollar level from there. Overall, everything on Anchor is doing pretty well, and everything is in line with our expectations. Nothing major has kind of gone wrong or deviated from plan here, and it should see a pretty good run towards the end of the year. Guys, if you have found this brief update on Anchor useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.